gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for March 1st, 2023. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game This Morning's Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Microsoft visited Kojima in Japan, but the question is, how many new souls has Kojima captured for his collection? But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game This Mornings. It's Lucy James, everybody. Lucy, how are you doing?
Hello. Well, as I was just telling you, trying not to do the coffee as soon as I wake up in the morning. So we're hydrating, bitches. And I can't wait to feel better than everyone.
Yes,
I've been told that's going to happen.
At the by the third or fourth glass, you're going to feel like the number one person alive. I think that's you're going to go to the top of the charts. Well, we talked about this before.
I know.
You're gonna have the before this episode started. I try to drink a lot of water in the morning, and really I don't feel good about it until I have that first pee, and it is super clear. That's when I do feel better than most people. I'm like, clearly, morally, I am superior. Look at that clear urine. That's I think it's the sign of a good person.
I think so, and it's just like, you know, it's not something you can ever publicly put out there. But it's just the little self-serving, like,
right.
You get a little pep in your step.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I can't tweet it. Like I'm not going to tweet my pee.
No.
But I can just like, smile to myself and know that is one of the top pees that's happened today anywhere in the world.
100%.
I try to wait that 90 minutes to get that first shot of caffeine, but it's tough. It's tough.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do, because last week I was at Dice and I drank a lot, and I'm in my 30s now. I can't do that anymore, man. I can't.
Yep,
I can't do it anymore.
Honestly, like I say, my daughter got me sick, but I started feeling worse after going out drinking, and I think honestly the drinking probably just ruined my immune system enough that the cold I had previously was like, oh, I'm back now. I'm just back.
Yeah, I'm just done. I'm just, But then again, drinking is great. So, what are you going to do?
Ash guy who's in chat says, I had the worst heartburn at 6 a.m. after that one burrito. Yeah, we had drinking and burritos. We made choices. We made choices. All right.
Mike says so. Oh, it's my fault.
as are most things. Yeah, I'm glad you're starting to realize it. That's the best part. All right.
Full.
We have a mess to get into. Before we do so, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Microsoft wants to bring the best version of Call of Duty to Nintendo platforms. This comes from Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life. This is another update on this ongoing story. Last week, Microsoft put pen to paper announcing its 10-year commitment to bring the Call of Duty franchise to the Nintendo platforms, and that agreement is now legally binding. Microsoft President Brad Smith followed this up by mentioning how the tech giant would ensure the series works exactly as people expect on other platforms. And now Microsoft CEO and Xbox boss Phil Spencer has elaborated on this during an official Xbox On interview. The aim for Microsoft is to deliver the, quote, best version of Call of Duty possible across each platform, which will be the same experience in terms of content, similar to games like Minecraft. So there's no need to worry about exclusive content being restricted to certain platforms. Phil Spencer says, we expect to hit a certain level of quality on all those games, so that's our goal, and the same thing on PC and the same thing on Nintendo. So when we say available everywhere or not exclusive, we want to make absolutely the best version of Call of Duty on any console on those platforms. This is in line with what they have been saying. I think they're trying to, we know what they're trying to do. They're trying to allay fears that they're going to make the Call of Duty exclusive. But I think they're trying to say this is not going to be just us shooting it out onto the cloud as an afterthought. If we do that, it's because that is actually the best thing we could do on the Switch, right?
Yeah, I just want to meet the people who are going to play Call of Duty on Switch.
Yeah. And to be fair, and as Chat's pointing out, as he said here, they're saying Nintendo platforms, right? They're not necessarily saying Switch. By the time this all happens,
Switch 2, baby.
yeah,
the
here it
most
is.
powerful home
Switch
console.
Pro, let's go.
The amount of teraflops are gonna be insane. No, yeah. I mean, it's good. You have people who are gonna play it. I hope you enjoy it, but categorically, the Switch is typically the worst place to play most third-party games.
I don't know.
I don't really understand what you're getting from it, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, I played a little bit of Overwatch on the Switch when it launched on there, and it was like, oh, this is fun. But now that most things run on Steam Deck, you're right. I'm not ever really checking that out. But no. I don't know. I think that okay. I'll say, I don't know. Maybe there are people out there. I'll just say that I know Apex Legends, a game that doesn't necessarily run very well on the Switch. You know, the rumblings I've heard from that is it's not exactly a moneymaker being on Switch.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it would be necessarily. And like, I don't know. I mean, I think the big elephant in the room here is the kids.
Right. And that's
kids. A parent is way more likely, I assume, to want to buy a Switch for their kids because it's seen as more family friendly. And then,
yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, we got them. The kids need COD. Right,
and it's like we can pretend that mature rating means anything, but as anyone who's played Call of Duty Online knows, that has never stopped a single child on the face of this planet from playing Call of Duty.
I mean, luckily, voice chat on Switch is terrible, so at least you'd be saved from all that stuff.
I'm gonna get my Splatoon like split headphone thing so I can plug it into my Switch and into my phone. Remember that thing? So you can use the Nintendo app.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that. That mess of wires connected to my Switch. It's so convenient, everybody. It's just so convenient.
Inelegant solution, but I mean, yeah. I get why Phil's doing this and talking about it with the lingering Activision Blizzard acquisition stuff happening. Yeah, I mean, I get why he's saying it. Again, consumer-wise, I'm not sure who this is for, but he's definitely trying to do the make good. Also, shout out to Charlie who did this interview with Phil, by the way.
It was a good interview.
I love Charlie so much.
We have a handful of stories from the interview. It was, yes, a lot of good stuff. So yes, speaking of those stories, Xbox has some small surprises planned between now and June. This comes from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. With most of our gaming calendar for the first half of the year already sorted, it seems that surprises for the rest of 2023 will be revealed around June, when Xbox, Sony, and more are allegedly planning some big reveals. Phil Spencer, in a recent interview with Xbox On, has confirmed that while we might get some smaller reveals for Xbox Game Pass in a similar fashion to GoldenEye announcements, most Xbox employees are getting ready for the June showcase. Obviously, and this is a quote from Spencer, the Game Pass portfolio continues to grow, but most of our focus as a team is really on getting ready for the showcase. But basically saying that there might be some surprises between now and then of that GoldenEye variety, where they basically announced it in a tweet. I think that they announced that it's like launching essentially the couple days before it actually did. And I think that's right for Microsoft. This is a company that has had a laser focus on big announcements at E3, and then they just started that developer direct thing. But they mostly just put all of their stuff into E3, and that's going to mean that a lot of big stuff will probably be in there, taking up a lot of oxygen. So if you have something smaller, especially something that's going to launch before June, just announcing it out of nowhere in a tweet, a YouTube video is probably going to be good enough. And I expect Microsoft to stick to that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, also, the success of Hi-Fi Rush coming out of that developer direct. I would hate if they think that, like, oh, we're just going to announce in a tweet is a good strategy going forward, because realistically, Twitter is how much of the public consciousness, like,
right.
People who are on Twitter think that it is the be all and end all. But ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, it is really not. And so I would hate for them to just drop stuff and tweet out, right? And because that means it's not necessarily reaching the wider audience. So fingers crossed there is some kind of solution where those games, there'll be smaller announcements, but they'll still get the kind of the might of the Xbox marketing machine behind them, so they're not just sent out to die. But that's exciting. Like, I think as exciting as E3 is, right? And it's always been the highlight of my kind of calendar year, or at least like summer game block.
The game mess.
Been game mess. Call it what it is. It's always kind of been the highlight because it is that big tentpole thing in the middle of the year for people to look forward to for the rest of the year. But I certainly like the fact that, we've got PlayStation Directs. What the hell are they called?
State of Plays.
State of Plays.
Yeah,
There are
I call them
Nintendo
PlayStation
Directs.
Directs 1 out of every 2 times, basically. Yes.
Right. I mean, that's basically what they're going for. Kind of dotted throughout the year just to bring up the excitement a little bit, and just to kind of, it's like how I live my life as an incredibly anxious person. I try and have one big thing to look forward to every month.
Yeah, I totally feel the same way, where it's like I want these companies to keep treating, even though that most recent State of Play was kind of, it was disappointing, whatever. That it's like, oh, the commercials you watched were disappointing. How terrible for you.
Yeah.
Let's get your money back. I'm like, okay, all right, you're good point. It's like this is entertainment at best and just a big marketing blitz at worst. It is what it is. We could just accept it. Sometimes the games that they're advertising to you aren't for you. You still watch the commercials. That was good for them. I want them to keep doing that, even if not, it doesn't always land. But we've seen, like, even Nintendo, the sort of the company that laid the groundwork for this entire marketing strategy, last year didn't have a June Direct, and so they did have a series of smaller, mostly Twitter and YouTube announcements that for dropping stuff, and it worked out pretty fine for them for the most part. I say that now, I'm struggling to remember what any of those things were, but I do remember them doing that. And if for a company like Microsoft, if E3 continues to be their focus and they are getting this developer direct thing sort of up and off the ground and figuring out what form it could take for what kind of game, I in the meantime, I expect them to we could still just keep announcing things when and where we have available to us, even if that means a tweet and a YouTube thing. And we hope that sort of the news reporting machine of all these big websites that kind of pick up the slack for us and actually inform everybody about these games and why they're actually worth paying attention to. Especially between now and June, we know there probably isn't going to be anything from Xbox other than some updates, probably the developer direct that they talked about for Starfield. So, well, yeah, that I'm sure that's coming. Give us a couple other things in the meantime, though. So, yes, especially after not having anything released last year. It's a Hi-Fi Rush, great surprise. What else have you been working on that's like that? I mean, if you don't have anything, fine. But if you do, let us see it. Just drop it, put it out, give us an update, and then release it in a week. Yeah. All right. Phil Spencer says AI will be additive and a positive force for video games. This comes from Eddie McCoo at GameSpot. One of the most discussed elements of technology in recent times has been artificial intelligence, thanks in part to OpenAI's ChatGPT. Some are wondering how advancements to AI may impact the future of video games, and Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer believes AI can help games grow to another level. Here's a quote from him. The intersection of AI and gaming has always been there, and now the AI capability on the planet is just getting bigger and bigger. Microsoft recently partnered with ChatGPT creator OpenAI in a deal reportedly worth $10 billion. So Spencer is obviously not an impartial observer, but instead someone with a business interest in seeing AI grow and succeed. He went on to say that AI has always been involved in video games, dating back to Pong, and it'll be a part of video game development going forward too. Absolutely, AI will play a role in video games, he said. AI always has. I get excited about some of the work the team is doing. It gives them more of a canvas, whether it's simulated physics, whether it's 3D rendering, whether it's great audio technology. What I find is when you give our creators new tools to play with, they then work it. Sometimes it takes a couple of years to find that rhythm of how everything fits in. I'll say that I've seen this sentiment, not just from Phil Spencer, but from a variety of developers, mostly people who run studios. And I think for them, the possibility is a lot of the stuff that causes us headache, content creation, the things that we do have to outsource to third-party studios all around the world. This is good news for us because now we could do a lot more of that a lot more effectively. And maybe when we do, maybe we'll still have to outsource, but the timelines will they'll be a lot much faster than they were before. This is a Luddite conversation, right? We are looking at a situation where a new technologies come around and we can see immediately how it might begin eliminating certain jobs. And the argument against Luddites was, hey, yeah, but on the other side of this is going to open up more creativity and create more jobs than the other side. And that was true in the case of the Luddites. I think that in this, it's only going to be true until it isn't. And it feels like we are rapidly approaching a point where one of these technological advancements is going to be the one that just sort of ends human labor in the way that it always has worked. And on the other side of it, one of these times, there won't be more jobs on the other side waiting for us. And I mean, it's hard to see AI not being that thing where, okay, yeah, sure, you'll be able to, the canvas is bigger, and your ability to take advantage of that canvas without having to have as many hands involved seems to be much like that seems to be happening as well. So all the concerns about people not being involved in the process or being sort of pushed aside for a smaller handful of creative people, yeah, I think that concern is still real and not alleviated here. Will it lead to better games? I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I think it's possible, but I still think that there's a lot of big concerns with this. I don't know. How are you feeling about it? You feel like AI is going to come replace us on Game Mess mornings here pretty soon?
I'll replace us all, man.
Yep.
No, I mean, the thing I worry about with AI is that, like, it's just not. It's I mean, obviously it's a growing iterative thing and it needs to kind of source from other places to improve, and that's kind of the scary Skynet part of it, but it's like it's not necessarily doing a great job. We've seen, can't even fucking make a human being without giving it 7 fingers on one hand or something, and that's the part of it where it's like, well, you can implement it into a workflow only for it to mess up another person's job.
Yeah.
Because they have to go in and fix it. And I mean, I'm not going to pretend to understand the ins and outs of development. I know that AI is used like in upscaling, right? Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Like they didn't upscale those textures by hand. They upscaled them all using AI and then touch them up at the end, right?
That's something we all kind of want. We want like that, like this stuff. That stuff will never happen if a developer has to go in and touch every single one of those textures. But if you have an AI that could do it, it does happen. And then we do get those games that we've been asking for. And okay, there's something good there. Yeah, for sure.
But it's like, it's at the end of the day, part of it is just kind of like a little bit scary. I mean, and that's just looking at AI from the outside in, like, even deepfaking's fucking terrifying, but like the AI voice stuff, the written stuff, especially because they're coming for our jobs. They're taking the wee-ins from us. Mm-hmm. But like, it's very, I don't know. It just seems everyone's going all in on it, and it's not necessarily regulated or anything where it should be.
Right.
In terms of jobs, I think also coming off the back of a ton of layoffs, a lot at Microsoft, in the tech industry, a lot at Microsoft. It just looks. I mean, it must suck to fucking see Phil Spencer be like, "Oh yeah, AI, great." Without necessarily kind of the reassurance of, oh no, human jobs will be protected.
Yeah.
We're just using this as a tool.
I mean, you said it's bad. I was making a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game for my other show, and I asked it to create a question for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire at like the $250,000 level or something like that. And it's like, okay, yeah, which one of these world leaders was born first or is the oldest? And it gave me 4 choices, and it was like Angela Merkel and Vladimir Putin or whatever. And it said the correct answer was Angela Merkel, and then it gave the birth dates for each person. And it was like, well, Vladimir Putin was born in like 57 or whatever, 55, and Angela Merkel was born in 57. Clearly, I can look at that and note this is just wrong. And so I just straight up asked it, who was born first, Vladimir Putin or Angela Merkel? And it just said Angela Merkel. She was born 2 years after Vladimir Putin. Like, okay, that's just simple math.
Yeah.
Of just what year came before the other. And it was like, for some reason in this instance, it just can't do the math. A computer that messes up math seems like a step backward in a lot of ways. You're
not going to have a calculator in your pocket, they always said. Well, don't need one. I got some fucking AI who's going to do the wrong calculation for me.
Right. I saw Ash Guy in chat say it's like Star Trek happening in real life, and that's where I've always kind of like hoped this would go. Is this does all of the jobs that we don't want to do, and somehow we have a society that has basic income. Everyone just gets basic income, and then you can just go out and do what you want to do and express yourself creatively, like that perfect Star Trek world. But it's like, man, we are so far away from solving so many of those issues. Somebody always has to clean the bathroom.
Unfortunately, capitalism.
Yes.
So
yeah.
We're
just. This is not. I don't think this is going to solve any of our problems. I do think it has every opportunity to exacerbate our problems. So, but Hey, if developers going to use this to make more games and free up some development so that people can do even more, I'll say what I always say when we saw like Unreal Engine 5 showed. We pressed a couple of buttons and Unreal Engine 5 just created a city that would be as good as anything that you would see in basically a knockoff GTA. Obviously, it's going to need a little bit more work, but we just made a city, not by hand, a couple of buttons. And then the response to that when I would break it up on previous shows was, this is going to solve crunch. This is going to be the kind of thing where the people are going to save so much more time. They're not going to hire as many people. And that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen usually in game development is the scale and the scope will increase in other directions. So now that they have a button they can press to create a city in a video game engine, now they're going to use all those people that were previously working on making models of buildings. Now they will go and work on the insides of buildings. And so they're like, well, we can make the game go even deeper and go even deeper. We're still in this arms race with other developers. So the scope and scale is always going to keep increasing. It's always going to get bigger. They will always find more work for people to do, at least in the very near term. Now, if AI comes and replaces everything, I don't know at that point. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
Xbox Game Studio team visits Kojima Productions to kick off an exciting journey. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. Xbox Game Studios publishing team recently visited Kojima Productions for the first time to discuss their upcoming collaboration. Hideo Kojima announced last June that he had teamed up with Xbox to work on a cloud-based project, a project which he described as a, quote, never-before-seen concept. And on Wednesday, Kojima shared images of Xbox Game Studios members visiting the independent developers' Tokyo headquarters. I mostly just pointed to this in there to say, remind people this is happening, and to like sort of update people on Xbox is still very involved in trying to make sure that this works. We're still years away from seeing anything from this game, though, right?
Yeah, and they gave him matching jackets too. I saw that nice little picture where they had like Kojima Productions and then Xbox, and so I don't know. Yeah, I kind of forgot this one was happening. If I'm honest, like after the announce of Death Stranding 2, I was like, oh hell yeah, back with Sam, Porter Bridges, and all that stuff. And then I forgot they're doing this, but that's cool. I mean, you can't keep a girl boss down, and so it's nice to see that Kojima is still as he was always going to be doing well post Konami. But it's exciting to see him with Xbox, and also it's nice to see Xbox continue to at least attempt to make those inroads in Japan, where historically the company has struggled. Like the uptake on Xbox has been relatively low, but with the Series S, with tapping on creatives like Kojima, hopefully it turns around for them over there. Yeah,
they that's one of the things from that interview as well. Spencer said that he was talking to Shinji Mikami, who's planning on retiring soon, about what Xbox can do in Japan, especially to like win over and woo more Japanese developers. So it's still something they're considering and thinking about a lot. Kojima's case is very much this is an outlier. Working with Kojima is not necessarily going to lead to more things in Japan. It's going to be like, this is Kojima, a worldwide sort of well-known name. But he wants to do something weird with his game, and it does involve the cloud. And that's why they hired what's Kim Swift? Kim Swift, that's the one that was working at Google.
From Valve?
Yes, she worked at Valve, and then she worked at Google on Stadia. She is basically leading a strike team at Microsoft to preemptively solve all the problems that they think Kojima might run into when making his game. She's like basically supposed to be there to make sure that the game actually happens, actually gets released, and is a shippable product. That's what she's doing there. And now this is them like sending a whole team over there to basically bridge that gap and say, all right, now let's actually make this happen. It's a real life Strand game. We're seeing it right before our very eyes, everybody. So it's exciting, but also I'm putting it in a little compartment where it's like, I'll wait until we actually see something before I really get excited about what they're working on over there.
Yep. Strike team though makes it sound really cool.
Yeah, right, man. I want to be on a strike team.
Fucking strike team. Game Mess Morning strike team.
The Game Mess Morning strike team is on the scene, ready to go see the Super Mario Brothers movie, which is now being released earlier than planned. This comes from Eric Hiddleback Furu at Game Reactor. When Illumination and Nintendo delayed the Super Mario Brothers movie out of 2022, they stated the movie would premiere on April 7th. Turns out that wasn't true for all territories, as some of us were set to get it in March. Unfortunately, that changed somewhat quietly earlier this year, so it seems like pretty much everyone will be getting the game on the first Friday of April. But now that's changing as well. The movie's Twitter account has announced that the Super Mario Brothers movie has been moved forward to April 5th in the United States and more than 40 other markets around the world. Hopefully we'll learn what the unspecified markets are when we get that final trailer on March 9th. This is exciting that it's like, okay, they probably think this is going to be a very big movie if they're trying to get that 5-day week opening weekend number. I think that they're probably what they're seeing is the early signs on ticket sales are very strong, right?
Yeah, I hope so. Like that. I mean, for all the shit everyone's giving Chris Pratt, Mario Kingdom. Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
They changed his Wahoo in one of the trailers. Like he had a Wahoo, and then he like improved it a lot. So they're still making update patches to Chris Pratt.
I'm gonna patch out Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think overall reception to it has been great. I wonder if the increase in eyes on Mario now that Super Nintendo Land is open, Nintendo World.
Super Nintendo World.
Pratt, Mento, holy shit.
It's Chris Pratt. Mento's just on fire this week.
Jesus. Very good. But yeah, no, Nintendo World's opened at Universal Studios. That seems to have gone down really, really well. People are digging the trailer. We were watching it on the mean streets of New York. We all loved it. I'm excited for this movie. I think as well, though, I'm riding the high of Edge Runners, Arcane, Last of Us.
Sure, there's a much higher bar than there was when this movie was announced. Guys. Yes.
So I'm excited.
Those are shows. They clearly have found a pathway that works for like making very high quality TV programming that is based on video games. I mean, you will be bringing that baggage into this, right? Though, where it's like I'm going to be thinking like this is what video games can be. The Super Mario Brothers movie maybe should be trying to go for those kinds of high highs, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I can't believe it's happening. I can't believe a studio that has made a studio like Illumination, who obviously made Minions.
Why'd you say it like that? I don't get it.
Oh, I fucking hate Minions. I don't care for them.
Now I know what to get you for your birthday.
I've softened on Minions over the years.
Okay. You're no longer a Minions hardliner for sure, right? Okay.
Well, no. The thing about Minions is that, like, for that hot minute in maybe 2015. When just all the mums on Facebook were just doing Minion memes, and they were terrible, and there was just like a complete misunderstanding of what a meme is, what a minion is, and it was just very upsetting. And I was constantly bombarded with minions, and I couldn't, you can't really necessarily put a fucking content warning on a minion, although you should. Anyway,
Jan in chat says we're 10,000% going to throw Lucy a minion pizza party, and he is right. So look out for that, everybody.
Yeah, and I thought you were an ally in my crusade against the minions. No, the reason it's because I was a friend with I was my friend with my mum on Facebook and my dad and like all their friends. Anyway, I completely forgot what the question you asked me was, but I just think it's cool that studio like Illumination has been given this property because Jesus Christ, can you imagine how protective Nintendo must be? And also they're making it in a way that is kind of, I don't know, like it's definitely Nintendo, it's definitely Mario, but there are jokes in there. I assume there's going to be quite a lot of little subtle references and maybe even digs. I think it's going to be, it's really interesting to see. I think anytime anyone who isn't Nintendo touches Mario, I'm automatically just very intrigued by it.
Yes.
So I can't wait for this.
I think
Chris Pratt aside, I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, the Chris Pratt voice is just, like I've said a million times, not going to let it ruin the movie for me. I bet by the time. It just
has an air that I don't like.
Yeah, right. His the gas he gives off, the gaseous, the noxious gas, the Chris Pratt gas.
Yeah.
The bar for me personally is, God, what is it now? The Wreck-It Ralph movie. Wreck-It Ralph, right? It's just called Wreck-It Ralph. That's like, if it could be anywhere near that is a big success for me. I'm like, because that handled the references correctly, like kind of front loaded them, let you smile while you were getting attached to these characters. They should do the same thing here, and not rely on. It seems like based on the trailer, it feels like that's what they're going for. So
I think so.
I guess we'll see.
And you know what? Maybe it's because I saw it in 2017, 2018, but I thought Ready Player One was okay.
Yeah,
I actually had a fun time at Ready Player One. Did not enjoy the book. But I mean, actually, maybe it's because of the Shining stuff that they put in.
I like people mad at you for saying you like the movie.
I know.
But I mean, listen,
like in a fucking kids movie, they made the entire thing, The Shining, the second thing, The Shining.
I mean,
maybe
that's actually pretty cool.
I had an okay time.
I mean, listen. She likes the movie. She doesn't like it as much as Ernest's poem about how he likes nerdy girls. That's her favorite thing from him, Ernest Cline.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, that's brought it all back.
All right. Well, I'll have Jan insert that full poem, him reading the poem here in post. So thanks, Jan.
Oh my God.
Let's see. Fortnite is adding cyborgs to the Rocky universe, which is just fun. This comes from Zach Zweisen at Kotaku. The first Rocky film was released way back in 1976. It was a gritty, well-written, and heartfelt movie about a down-on-his-luck boxer giving him one last chance to make a name for himself. Decades later, Creed was released as a spin-off for that franchise, and it kept the same gritty tone and down-to-earth feeling of the original films. Now, in 2023, Fortnite is adding cybernetic super boxers into that universe. So thanks. Out next month, Creed 3 is the next entry. It's actually out in 2 days now. The Rocky spinoff series starring Michael B. Jordan as Adonis Creed, the illegitimate son of Apollo Creed. Adonis Creed, yes. Adonis Creed is the son of Apollo Creed. A man character.
Apollo Creed.
Are you being surprised by all these characters now? This is just totally normal stuff in the world of Jeff Grubb. This is just all very normal characters.
I did listen to an entire podcast about called Finding Drago, because have you heard about this?
I don't. It sounds familiar, but I don't know if I could place it. What is this?
Drago is like one of the antagonists from Rocky 3. Rocky 4?
Yeah, Rocky 4. He's Rocky 4's. Yes, he killed a man, and then Rocky defeated communism. So anyhow, go ahead. So
someone was looking at the Wikipedia page, and someone was alleged to have written a book about Drago, and this podcast was like, well, who the fuck would write a book about Drago? And so they went down this rabbit hole to find this guy. Ooh. And it's really funny. And the guys are from, I think they're from Australia or New Zealand, and they just have they're very, very funny. And like, it's about 6 episodes, and it goes places you wouldn't expect. It was a book that was actually written by the CIA, and it was released in Eastern Europe. It was written a book about Drago, but yeah, it's okay, I'm gonna listen to this. And I had never seen any of the movies. I said this Friday, Chad, you can maybe help me. I'm going to be sitting in on a stream on Dan's Twitch channel where he has a wheel and he's going to spin it, and every place on the wheel is a Rocky movie or Creed movie, because they're all on Amazon Prime. And we're going to watch them just nonstop. And if it lands on the bad ones like Rocky 5 over and over again, we're just going to keep watching it over and over again. So if you want to join us and watch some Rocky movies, I'm sure we can make room on the virtual couch. It's going to be good. How long is this stream? I mean, I don't know if it ever ends. I think it doesn't end until we go see Creed 3. So there you go. God, I would join, but actually I do have plans on Friday. It's a friend's birthday. Oh, that's fair. I mean, a friend could come too. Here's a picture Rocky of Horror. Ooh, there you go. That's the name of the stream, Rocky Horror. Okay, well, that's actually really good. Here's a picture of Adonis Creed with cybernetic arms. I haven't seen Creed 3 yet. I don't think he gets cybernetic arms in the movie. But this does look dope. The one comparison that everyone's making for Creed 3 is because Michael B. Jordan directed it. Everyone's saying it's very anime because Michael B. Jordan loves anime. Exactly. Yeah. Also, yes, and then Always Be Clothing is making the reference. I appreciate Creed Real Steel. It also looks like Real Steel, God. A movie I adore. I love Real Steel. The Hugh Jackman movie. Yeah. Yes, it's like a dad film, but like if it was like if you mixed it up with Transformers. I love it. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna keep going along here, everybody. All right, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Tera raid bug replaces Paradox Pokemon with eggs. This comes from Ollie Reynolds at Nintendo Life. I'm just gonna summarize here. Basically everyone was like, hey, there's a new patch out that might fix some stuff in Pokemon.
Everyone went to go look to see if it fixed any of the performance stuff. It did not. Nothing's improved in performance. What it did do is make some things worse. It introduced new bugs, some other problems. I mean, it fixed some other bugs. That was what the patch was doing. It never purported to be a performance patch. It's like people got their hopes up, and it's like they went to go look for things, and it's like it introduced new bugs, and in some areas the game does run even worse, at least according to some analysis. So things are just really happening over there at the Pokemon Company with Scarlet and Violet. That game sold 20 million copies. I think it's probably going to continue to be fine, though, right?
Fine.
Yep.
They're fine. Also, when you said it introduced new bugs, I was like, oh, it put new Pokemon in?
Right, not bug Pokemon.
I haven't had my fucking coffee yet. I'm just all in the water, guys. I don't like it. It's not doing it for me. The brain's not, the neurons are not firing. Also, yeah, they're too busy counting money to fix bugs, as MN Goldie says.
Very good. You just gotta chug the water. You gotta like the biggest gulps in the world. And like basically give yourself brain freeze. I'm not saying waterboard yourself. I'm not talking about that.
I was doing a Dumb and Dumber thing.
Oh.
Big gulps, huh? Well, see you later.
I appreciate it. Dumb and Dumber reference. I appreciate that. Thank you.
That's the only thing I got. It's 8:30 in the morning. That's all I've got.
I mean, listen, no judgment. I'm an older millennial. My entire brain is just Austin Powers references. So like anytime anyone says anything, I just want to be referencing movies. And I'm like, people don't do that anymore. It's all memes. No. You're going to look really old.
So when we were at DICE, there was one bar that we kept meeting at, which is the Baccarat bar, right? Because it was the high roller Baccarat bar. And every time we went there, I went, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Burt Baccarat. And no one got it because it just sounded like I was mispronouncing Baccarat. And obviously he's just died, so it was coming off as insensitive. I was like, no. It's
man.
Powers thing.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. I mostly laugh because, God, I think I would have done the exact same thing. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Burt Baccarat. All right, let's keep moving here. Persona 6 internally delayed, according to rumor. This comes from my Nintendo News. The long-awaited next entry in the acclaimed Persona series, Persona 6, has apparently been delayed internally. That is according to an individual who leaked information about a Persona 3 remake. The information was shared on Reset Era when someone asked if the next Persona game would arrive this year, to which the person said that there's zero chance of it happening. We don't have to like necessarily believe these rumors, but it's just I kind of wanted to bring this up to ask you. We were never really expecting to get Persona 6 this year, right? So,
no.
I mean, maybe it has been also delayed, pushed out even further. But to me, that just feels like normal development, sort of growing pains that happens with every game. And Persona, the Persona franchise is not exactly coming out on a speedy cadence, right?
No, I mean, God. So what was it? 2016 Japan, early 2017 for Persona 5.
Yeah.
Royal, late 2019, early 2020. Or was it worldwide 2020? I forget. It was like the last thing we shot in the studio before pandemic was a thing about Persona 5 Royal. Yeah, I mean, I'm gutted, but it's not like we're hurting for Persona right now with the re-release of 3 and 4. But they are kind of tricky to go back to after all the quality of life comforts of 5 and Royal. But I'd love to see what that team does next. I would love to see.
I mean, that brings us back to what they might do next.
Where do you go from 5? I mean,
right. That I think that brings us back to like what the other part of this rumor is. They might be delaying it in part to release Persona 3 remake first. And again, I don't know if I believe these rumors. I don't have a good insight on any of these things. It sounds possible. Some people say that doesn't sound possible at all. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think a Persona, because you were just saying like the quality of life improvements they made to that series over time, if they could backport that to Persona 3, update it in some other ways, maybe that game could be a big deal once again?
I mean, I hope so. Like, it's a great game, and 4 obviously is one of the best of all time. Definitely some stuff that needs to change in 4. Like, and 3 too, to an extent, like in terms of just they feel old to play now. But do I want to see a remake of them? I don't know. I'm at the point now where I'm kind of getting not remake fatigue, because I love a remake. I love looking at stuff like Dead Space. I'm very excited for Resident Evil, don't get me wrong, but I think when there's been such a gap with like Persona, I would just love to see a new one at this point.
Yeah,
We'll see.
they did that whole like, hey, we've got a year and a half of Persona announcements, and everyone thought it was going to end with Persona 6, and nope, it did not.
You raised my hopes and dashed them most expertly, sir. Congrats.
Graphics cards shipments cratered by 50% at the end of 2022. This comes from Jeremy Laird at PC Gamer. This isn't the most surprising revelation, but the numbers are still eye-popping. According to longtime graphics market soothsayers, JPR, graphics card shipments dropped from 26 million in the last quarter of 2021 to 13 million for the same period last year. That's an epic 50% drop year on year. Admittedly, the final quarter of last year didn't fully see the benefit of NVIDIA and AMD's new GPU launches. NVIDIA's new RTX 40 series only appeared in mid-October, with the marginally more mainstream RTX 4070 Ti not rolling out until early this year. Likewise, AMD didn't have all their graphics cards at the same time. Still, though, I think the culprit here is not a tough comparison because of time delays on the release of these things. Demand is just down. We've known that. The big question is, does that begin affecting prices? That's something they consider in the story here. We could argue that low demand for a few more quarters will help convince NVIDIA and AMD to adjust their currently painful pricing. Already, we're seeing our RX 7900 XTs drop well below MSRP. Here's hoping prices continue to slide. These companies did a lot of profit taking over the last couple of years. We're like, we can get away with raising the prices now. We're going to do it. And boy, it seemed like it went to an extreme. The GPU market's due for a correction, right?
Oh, God, absolutely. Like when I was upgrading my PC and stuff, I was just... I waited, and luckily, like, I wasn't necessarily caught up in the big... the
rush there in the pandemic, right?
The big rush during the pandemic. I waited, and then I ended up, and like, full disclosure, like, NVIDIA sent me a 30 series, and I bought a PC around it, but like, even then, the PC market at the time, the cheapest way I could get a PC was to buy a pre-built that already had a graphics card in, and that was cheaper than buying everything separately, which is insane to me. Shout out to NZXT though, they were great. Got my PC
company.
in like 2 days.
Yep.
Got my PC in like 2 days. But yeah, and it's just, dude, I forgot the 40 series in Fun came out.
I mean, it's the
You even need
conversation, the demand around. I mean, it is. We got it's the 4090, the 4080, the 4070 Ti so far, and that 4070 Ti, the price on it, it's astronomical. So it's like still way outside of the realm of what people would actually consider mainstream. So I think most people just continue to ignore it.
What games? I mean, at this point, like, what games are really taking advantage of that?
That's where we've been with this stuff for a while. Like since 2016, when we got the RX 480 and then the RX 470 and the 1060 from NVIDIA. Those cards could run almost any game at 1080p 60, and that hasn't changed much. Those cards could still, you're going to have to make some sacrifices to quality at this point, but most games still run at 1080p 60 on those cards. You might want to upgrade a little bit, but not much. And games in 2016 at the same time were already looking about as good as we need them to look. That's when Doom came out, and Doom runs at 1 million frames per second on everything. And it's like, okay, do I really need games to look much better than this? And even if the answer is yes, developers are looking at like, well, we're not really hitting a hardware limitation anymore. We can do just about anything with the hardware available, all the way down to the most common GPU that according to the Steam hardware survey. So what is our limitation now? It's time and money. You can make any game on any hardware look like The Last of Us Part 2 if you have all the time and the money like Naughty Dog had. But most developers are no. So it's like, we're just not feeling this urge to upgrade like we were before that stuff. And that's where stuff like RTX ray tracing was like this big push by NVIDIA, because they're like, you need to throw out everything before, because this is the new way of doing things. And that really hasn't worked for them. And so they've tried some other things like the RTX up-resing stuff, and then the frame generation stuff that they have in DLSS 3.0. That stuff's pretty cool. You're going to be able to do stuff at 4K at 120 frames per second and without really any latency. That's actually super impressive. But then now we're talking about a market of people who have 4K 120 hertz screens, and that's very small. So they just haven't been able to do make a compelling argument for why the vast majority of people should be feeling that urgency to upgrade. And during the pandemic, people just wanted to because they were stuck at home with their computers more often. But now that that pressure's off, these companies are back to where they were before, where they're trying to make this argument into a void, and most people aren't listening to them.
Yeah. But Steam Deck's great.
Fucking Steam Deck rules.
Fucking Steam Deck's
I
great. I got a dock the other day.
Ooh.
I'm very excited because the distance between my TV and my PC is astronomical, and I can't be doing that.
That's like several feet. I got mad at a story the other day because someone was like, I bet your Steam Deck is collecting dust. And I'm like, I'll bet you'll collect fucking dust. My Steam Deck gets used every day. How dare you? I don't know why I'm so defensive. I just really like my Steam Deck.
Oh, it's a great thing. It's great. Love it.
Armored Core 6 has a September/October release window, according to a rumor. This comes from Xputer. Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon was announced late last year with little further information to go by, not to mention radio silence on the game's release date. The mech combat title was showcased, however, with a quality cinematic trailer where From Software confirmed that a sixth installment in the series is indeed coming. Sources have now revealed that the developers have planned a release window that falls between September and October for Armored Core 6. Unless further internally delayed, there are more chances for the title to launch in late September rather than getting pushed to sometime in October. Additionally, it was disclosed to Xputer that From Software wants to get Armored Core 6 out before releasing the Shadow of the Erdtree expansion for Elden Ring. I'll say that right when this game got announced, what I was told was they had a 2024 date on this game up until right before they announced it. And it's like, so I think a lot of people that were surrounding that were like, we expected to get delayed again. Since then, the internally, the confidence about being able to get Armored Core 6 out this year has increased. And it sounds like it probably is actually going to hit this year. I think that'd be pretty cool. But then Shadow of the Erdtree to follow that. When do you think we see this? This is probably one of these summer showcase games, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe a Jeff's thing. I mean, it was at Game Awards last year. Maybe, I mean, hey, friendship ended with Kojima-san. Miyazaki-san is my new best friend. It would be cool to see it over the summer. I'm not gonna lie to you. I never played an Armored Core. Don't really have much knowledge on the franchise at all. I don't know why I did that. But it would be cool. I'm just kind of more interested in the Elden Ring expansion at this point. And so if they're gonna ship this before they ship that, then
do it.
Please hurry up. I need to get back. The lands between.
The thing, I expect this probably to be at the PlayStation Showcase. I think it'll be there. That one that's going to be the big showcase for them happening before E3. I think people can look out for it there. Like, no guarantees, but I think that's probably, I'm not going to shave anything, but I think it'll probably be there. And then, with Shadow of the Erdtree, I'm like, give me a reason to go back to Elden Ring. I'm like, no, I'm actually just going to go back to Elden Ring, start a new character, and then I'll be ready. And I will still probably be playing the game when that new content launches. So let's do it that way. I'm ready for it.
I started a new game on my Steam Deck.
Yep, it's where I played it all originally. I bet it runs even better now. I'm ready to go.
Runs great.
I'm ready to go. Okay. I ran a poll at some point. I'll get it up here in a second. But while we do that, Lucy, what do we have going on Giant Bomb? What do you got going on GameSpot? What's happening this week?
What is happening this week? So what have we got? We've got Grubb's Punch Out.
That's right.
Oh, holy shit. What else? I'm looking at the thing. We got, that's just today. And then, tomorrow we got Blight Club, Sonic 06, Voicemail Dump Truck. And then what are we doing for UPF on Friday?
UPF, we're doing a GameCube stream. We're going to play a bunch of GameCube games or cube-related games. I don't know. It should be a fun one, though. A bunch of old stuff. I think I'm going to bring Kuro Squash, like Kuro, but for GameCube. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm looking forward to doing. Let me just.
And sorry for no Jeff's fucking John got married or something.
What the hell?
We knew that. No,
so
he got
selfish.
Married. And so we're all very happy for him. But that just means that our anime has to wait. Unbelievable. Calls himself an anime fan.
And he's married to a person. Who is more popular? This is the question from yesterday. Who is more popular? Or I'm sorry, from Monday. Captain America or Harley Quinn? 58% said Captain America. 42% said Harley Quinn. What's your opinion, Lucy? You have the final say here.
I mean, what's gonna not get me kicked out of America?
Yeah, you gotta,
The option.
what is the American government's position on this question is very important to consider here.
I'd have to say, I mean, I prefer Harley Quinn as a character, but
Mr.
you know,
J.
Mr. J. But obviously, you know, the impact of the MCU cannot be ignored, and it's America's ass. Also,
It is America's ass.
The 50 years of comic books aside, it's America's ass. So.
Harley Quinn, despite having, in my opinion, feeling kind of played out at this point, it was cool to be there when she first popped up watching Batman the Animated Series. But I had no idea, oh, this is a new character. And later you find out, oh, that's where she's from. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's a really good show. That's a good character from a really good show. That's cool. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think, honestly, 58 to 42, that's a fair split. That's an impressive showing for Harley Quinn.
Been replaying Arkham City recently. She's great in that.
I've played Arkham City, but I never super got into it. I just was disappointed. Neat. I know I should. I just love Arkham Asylum being a Metroidvania so much that I was like, man, how dare they not make me another Metroidvania?
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you for
I'll
understanding.
have a word with Rocksteady. They don't have anything going on right now.
Yeah, they're not busy. All right, I got another poll. Let me ask here. Let's see. I was gonna do Persona. Like, when do you expect Persona 6 to come out? I get. You know, let's do that. You think we get a Persona 6 announcement this year? They are usually when I do something with Persona, people are like, they've already said they're going to do something this year, and then I'm like, okay, fine.
What a voice.
Just engage with my poll. Just not like that.
Give me the metrics. Engage with my poll.
Okay, listen.
Disgusting.
Okay, listen. I'm gonna get kicked out of America. Game Mess Mornings. I'll post that right now. Engage with my poll. Okay. It's a dumb show. All right. Lucy, thank you so much for spending today talking with me about video games. I really appreciate it.
Hell yeah. Mac is in chat. I'm Polish and this is offensive.
I don't own a Polish person. That's not what I'm saying. Oh, okay. Thank you all for watching. You're the best audience in gaming, except for when you're giving me copious amounts of shit.
Deserved shit.
Deserved, but yes, fair. But yeah, just let me slide. Until next time, though, everyone have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye. And number generations are horseshit. Bye, everybody.